Why go visit a city when you could be on a floating city?
All hands on deck for the Oasis of the Seas.
We're the travel agents coming to you with tips, tricks, interviews, and voyages by cruise. The travel agents bringing you the latest travel news.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
We're your hosts for the Travel Agents Podcast. Will, we went on a cruise together. What did you think?
It was cool, man. It was my first time on a cruise. It was definitely different than anything I've experienced before.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a normal cruise. This is such a huge ship we were on. It was the Oasis of the Seas.
Yeah. Huge city. Huge city.
Yeah, well, it is.
It felt like a city. Huge cruise ship. I've never been on one before, and going on a cruise is not normally something I would go for. I'm more like an adventure person.
You know, you and I were on it for a week. We didn't even hit every room or activity on that ship.
Yeah, that we left a cruise with a lot left to do.
You talk about getting lost on a ship. It's a funny concept, but you can absolutely get lost. I mean,
Huge.
It's just gigantic. That's really, I mean, it holds 5,400 guests plus 2,100 staff. So it's over 7,500 people on the ship at full capacity.
Yeah, exactly. And we started our trip in New Jersey.
Sure.
And took it all the way down to Royal Caribbean's island in the Bahamas.
Right.
CoCo Cay?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
I guess CoCo Cay. Perfect day in CoCo Cay.
Exactly. Perfect day in CoCo Cay. It's a majority of cruise lines, the big cruise lines, have their own private island somewhere in the Caribbean. Usually it's the Bahamas, and a lot of the itineraries stop there for the day.
Yeah, exactly. But we got to see a lot on this cruise ship. We got to see every show that we wanted to see, and we got to eat anywhere that we wanted to go to.
Sure.
So we got a full rundown of what it was like to experience the Oasis of the Seas. And we have a lot to talk about on this episode, and we're really excited to get into it.
Let's kick it off with defining words.
Here's 3 words to help you. Here's our defining words.
So with a lot of luxury type things, whether it be cruises or hotels, you can experience some really great staff. And that leads me to my first defining word, and that's staff. Here at the Oasis of the Seas, I have never met so many incredible members of the staff. And for a lot of it, I was more interested in getting to know them than even experiencing the everyday cruise life. Because they're all from all over the world. We talked to guys from India, girls from Indonesia, people from Peru. I mean, everywhere. And it was just an amazing time to be able to talk to these people and get an idea of what it's like to live in their culture and how they got to Royal Caribbean and what it was like to work for Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, every staff member's name tag has their name plus the country they're from. That's kind of a great lead up into chatting with them, or an intro, so to speak. But one thing I appreciate, the diversity of the crew, and they do a nice job of a balance between being really professional, but also being fun and kind of friendly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We have a few clients that have even said that they wanted to extend their stay on the cruise, not just because of the cruise, but because of the staff. I think that's a testament in itself to how incredible they are.
It's wild to find cruisers who go back on a ship looking for a certain staff member too.
Absolutely, man.
Second word is choices. So you're not going to be bored on this cruise.
Not at all.
There are so many options, and I think that kind of comes in all aspects, with the entertainment, with the food, and with the just extra activities you can do.
Yeah, they have karaoke if you're into that. If you have kids, they have arcades. They have daycare type centers. I mean, there's something there for everyone.
Every age
shows, group. Just incredible stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
But that leads us to the last defining word, and that's actually app.
Right. And with all these choices, it's really hard to find out, what activity is going on. There might be bingo going on as well as rock climbing going on, and where on the ship, because we've already mentioned how giant of a ship this is and how confusing and weird it is. But with the app, it has it all listed, where to go. And if you recall, I'm not sure if it was through the app or just at every elevator, it gave you directions from where you were at. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it was incredible. It was just incredibly helpful for, this floating city that you're in.
The technology is
impressive.
Yeah.
One of the things that I liked was that you could see the price of excursions. You could see the price of the menu items. Mm-hmm. So if you're curious as to like how much things were costing,
right,
before you even got to that location or before you got to that excursion, you could see how much it would cost you.
Well, that's such a good point, because on a cruise, a lot of things are free. And by free, I mean they're included in the cost. Yet there are a lot of things that are not. And the app is really helpful at just letting you know, yes, this is free and included, or no, you're going to have to pay. And there's a price tag next to that item. And the app does a nice job distinguishing that.
Exactly. But I think we can roll into our highs and lows.
I'm ready.
Sometimes things are good, sometimes they're bad too. It's highs, lows coming to you.
The Aqua Theater is on the Oasis of the Seas, as well as its sister ships, the Harmony and the Allure. But we're talking about the Oasis of the Seas, which is the first of its kind. This was a very revolutionary ship to the industry, just in its architecture and the way there's an interior. You almost have to see a picture of it to understand that there's actually an interior of the ship, but that interior, the climax of it, is at the very end of the ship, which is the Aqua Theater. Will, we got to see an Aqua Theater show. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was really amazed. It's been a long time since I've been amazed by a show like that. I had like a childlike wonder, similar to like what you would experience like as like a Disney show when you go to Disney World. Our show that we saw was Aqua 80s, so it was I guess like an aquatic dance routine to a modern remix of a lot of popular 80s songs, and the soundtrack was incredible. Yeah. I was really digging the soundtrack. And they had these, I don't know if they're Olympic divers. I wouldn't be surprised if they were, but they were jumping off of diving boards that I think were 60 feet high.
It's insane.
Just incredible synchronization in their swim routines. I was very impressed with what they were able to pull off.
The fact that on these ships you're getting Broadway level performance material.
Yeah,
you feel undeserving with the price that you've paid.
Yeah, it definitely helps soften the blow of like how much you're paying for a cruise. But you are seeing some things that you wouldn't be able to see anywhere else. You have to go to Royal Caribbean to get an Aqua Theater experience.
Next was the Thrill Water Park on Royal Caribbean's private island. They have a water park. You can't miss it. I mean, it's tall, it's huge, it's a lot of bright colors, and quite a few slides. Would you say there were over like 5 or 6 on the one area?
Yeah, I think there were about 6 or 7.
Additional over on the other. Okay, so yeah. There's just a lot going on.
There is.
And it was well done. There was lockers and I don't know. It was just well organized, it seemed.
It was, and you did say that like it is towering. Fun fact: the one water slide is the tallest water slide in North America, and it is a blast to ride on. Highly recommend it. It's not cheap. Well, I mean, all things considered, it's not cheap. It's $100 for when we went. And to my understanding, it is seasonally based, so it could be cheaper. It could be more expensive for when you go. But for us, it was $100.
$100 per person for adults. I don't know the kids. They may have been a little bit of a break if you were under 12. Okay.
Yeah. So it is just shy of being as expensive as a Universal Studios ticket.
There you go. Yeah.
But I did touch on this a little bit earlier before. But for me, one of the big highs was the international staff. And I remember one of the things I was looking forward to the most every day was our dinners in the dining hall. And it wasn't because of the food, and the food was really solid there. Really impressed by the food there. But it was the fact that I knew that we were going to get an opportunity to meet a new person.
Right.
And these people were just so incredible. They were all so interesting and so kind. And the conversation just flowed so nicely. And I remember one waiter that we had, he wanted us to meet his wife, who also worked on the ship, and he was just so cool.
Yeah.
Man, I really enjoyed our experience just because of the staff,
amazing.
man. Yeah. But I know that you really enjoyed the Flow Rider.
I'd always wanted to do the Flow Rider. You know, I watched it on YouTube. I see it on the commercials. These people doing. There's like a boogie board where you're on your knees. There's a surfboard where you're standing up, and it's a Flow Rider, which is like an artificial. It's a surf simulator, exactly. Yeah. And so it's so many gallons of water being thrust at you. This is on the back of the ship. Yeah, it was on the back of the ship, I believe.
Yeah, it's on the back of the ship. A little tip: if you're a girl, don't go on it. I don't think they will allow you to go on it with just a bikini, because you'll lose your bikini. You have to wear like a shirt over it. Guys, make sure your swimsuit is really tight on you for this. Yeah. Mine, I had to stop doing it because I knew I was going to lose my pants.
And have maybe some boxer briefs on, something tight underneath as well before you do it. And it was included in the cost.
Yeah, you didn't have to pay
a little
extra.
Bit of a wait because it was pretty popular. But yeah, I really had a blast. I highly recommend it. And if you're a skateboarder or snowboarder, it's going to be a little easier for you.
Yeah, but another really great high about being on a cruise is you only have to unpack once.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just so nice because you can hit multiple countries, multiple destinations while only unpacking once. And the beauty of traveling at night while you're sleeping is that way you're not losing travel time during the day.
Yeah, and that's, this high isn't just for Oasis of the Seas. This is like a cruise high. This is one of the best things about being on a cruise, but something we really enjoyed about our cruise. That does lead us to a low. Every trip has some sort of low onto it. And Brian, you're going to kick it off with our first low.
Absolutely. And this is a low that I get from first-time cruisers all the time. People who have done a lot of cruising expect this, but especially if it's your first cruise, you're generally speaking, the biggest low will be that you feel like you're being nickeled and dimed.
Yeah.
Now, that's not every cruise line, because some cruise lines that are more luxurious cruise lines are truly all-inclusive, like Regent cruises, for example. But we're talking about what we call a mass market cruise line, right? Your Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, Norwegian Cruise Line, Disney, that kind of thing, where you feel like you're being nickeled and dimed a bit. And what I mean by that is once you get on the ship, sure, a lot of things are included. There's always food you can find that's included, and your 6 basic drinks are included. And I want to go over those. It's water, coffee, iced tea, lemonade, fruit punch, hot tea. Those are your 6 drinks that are always included. But you're going to pay for every beer, wine, cocktail, any liquor at all. You're going to pay, you're expected to tip every day. You're going to be charged around $14 or $15 per person per day. Also, every time you get a drink, you're expected to tip the bartender as well. Excursions, once you get off the ship, those are extra. Wi-Fi. Everyone wants Wi-Fi. We're all addicted to our phones. That's also extra. And then with the dining, there's what's called specialty dining now, where if you don't want to just go to like the regular main dining room each night, you want to do a special dinner. Well, there's a cover charge for that too.
Yeah, exactly. And you did bring up you have to pay for Wi-Fi, and you might have the question, does that affect the app that you're using? And to my knowledge, I don't think it does, because the information is downloaded onto the app. So
Correct.
You're going to be able to access all that information. Right. If you're worried, I can't even experience the app because I don't have Wi-Fi and I don't want to pay for it, you'll be okay. You'll still be able to access the app and everything like that.
And activities on the ship, a lot of them were included, but like you and I did the escape room, which was a lot of fun. That was an additional charge.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And a lot of the things at CoCo Cay, when you get there, you have to pay for it. There were a few exceptions, like there were public beaches that you were able to go to that you didn't have to pay extra. Sure. But some of the things that, if you're kids and you want to do water slides or something like that, you're going to have to do the water slide fees, like we said. And if you're interested in like some of the excursions there, you're going to have to pay a premium price at CoCo Cay.
So you need a good travel agent who's going to tell you, hey, here are the unexpected charges that you need to be prepared for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Will, what was your low?
So for me, cruises aren't normally my first option for traveling, and that's because I do really like to go to a new location and experience the culture. That's part of the reason why I really enjoyed the staff, was because I got that cultural inclusion in that sense. I was able to experience something new. But with cruising in itself and in particular Oasis of the Seas, you're going to one location more often than not. Like for us, we were going to the Bahamas. And if you're looking to travel to experience a new location, you are at the mercy of the weather when you do go to that location. So for us, we did arrive to the Bahamas, but we really couldn't experience. I think we had 3 or 4 hours in the Bahamas because it was storming very hard. I think it was a tropical storm was hitting the island. And so we did not have a lot of time. And that was our experience in the foreign country. And so if you're looking for that sort of thing with your cruise, you might get a half-hearted approach of that on a cruise.
You can hardly say we really experienced the Bahamas.
Yeah.
We did some water slides.
We did get to do some really cool water slides though. So yeah, let's I think that's it. I think we can roll into our tips now.
Tips from the travel agents.
We got quite a few tips here, and we're kind of just going to hit them. A lot of these are pretty self-explanatory once we say them. So first one, pack your own sunscreen, because you can always buy it on the ship, but wow, their gift shop is pricey.
It is, yeah. And this is kind of one of those tips that you will hear anytime you go somewhere that's like an all-inclusive resort, or maybe Florida, like you go to these really popular resorts in Florida. Sure. But it's tried and true for cruises too. I mean, you're going to the Bahamas. A lot of people don't think about it because you're going to be on a cruise for the most part. But I would argue that most people going on a cruise are also going to be interested in lounging poolside. So if you do that, you're going to be in the Caribbean. You're going to need some sunscreen, and don't get caught out by having to pay a premium.
There's a bar on this ship called the Rising Tide, and what's so cool about this bar is that it goes up and down.
It's a elevated bar that takes you from one level to another.
Correct.
So you can either start in the mock Central Park, Central Park as in New York Central Park. They have a redesigned little area that is modeled after that, and the Rising Tide bar is modeled after the mall right next to the World Trade Center. I forget the name of it right now.
Yeah, or the subway.
Yeah, the Oculus.
Nice.
Yeah, the Oculus. It's modeled after that. So if you see something that looks like the Oculus in New York, that's the Rising Tide, and it'll take you from the Central Park level down to the main.
Yeah, the main mezzanine or
the main mezzanine. Yeah,
it does departures like every 45 minutes or something, and it takes about 15 or 20 minutes. Yeah, and it just slowly lowers you down, and it's just exciting.
You go from a level that's real calm. Not a lot. You might not get any live music at the Central Park level, and then it takes you down to the main mezzanine, and you might get hit by a big jazz band. It's pretty cool.
We did the escape room. That was fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you go with a group of people on this cruise, I think it's a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a pretty challenging escape room. I have a background in engineering, and there was one particular puzzle that I think if it wasn't for my engineering background, I don't know if we would have gotten it. It was pretty engineering intensive. I was really surprised by that
puzzle.
thing.
Yeah, that was insane. So,
but I think one of the big things when it comes to Oasis of the Seas is reservations. Oasis of the Seas is a very large ship, and with a very large ship, you have a lot of people on it. And so these really popular shows and the popular restaurants are going to get filled up a lot quicker than you would think. So I would recommend that on your first day, or maybe even before your first day, if you have a good idea of what you want to see in terms of shows and where you want to go in terms of food, book a reservation as quick as you can. Get those things locked in. We talked about the Aqua Theater. You're going to need a reservation for that. Do it as soon as you can. That's probably one of the biggest tips that we could give you going on the Oasis of the Seas.
Such a good point. We always say, like, as a general rule of thumb, you can usually book your shows 30 days before the cruise. You can generally book your dining 60 days before the cruise, and you can generally book your excursions between 6 or 9 months before the cruise. So if there's an excursion you know you want to do, book it, grab it now. You can do it through the app. Once you have a booking, you can start booking. And same, like if you have like an anniversary one night and you want to make that night special, grab the specialty dining reservation now.
Yeah, and there are certain level of suites that includes a butler, and with that butler, you can tell them, hey, I'm really interested in this, this, and this, and that butler will do the reservations for you, among a bunch of other stuff.
Gotta get the butler.
Oh, yeah, if you can get it, get it.
go in one day early for your cruise.
Yeah, and you mean go to the location. So like for us,
Yes.
we started off in New Jersey. So
Right.
we really should have went and gone a day early to New Jersey, get a hotel.
We drove, so it wasn't as risky. But with
Right.
flights, you never know. Aircraft problems, maintenance issues, weather issues. I mean, we're from Northeast Ohio. A lot of cruises depart from Southern Florida. And so if you're just going to bank on your flight being on time and getting to the cruise ship right before it takes off, it's pretty risky.
Mm-hmm.
We've had, if you miss the departure, your amazing week at sea becomes a nightmare.
Yeah, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to fly down to the
next
location,
island. Yeah,
meet them, get on the ship,
awful.
and then
it's gonna be awful. So
it's pretty
go
bad.
on a night early, get that hotel, just so you have the peace of mind.
Better safe than sorry. That's for sure.
It could end up saving you a ton of money.
Yeah, and if you are booking by yourself, keep in mind that some ocean view rooms do have obstructions. You might get an ocean view room with a lifeboat.
Yeah.
And if that happens, you're not going to get that ocean view.
Nothing more romantic, Will, than a giant orange gaudy lifeboat blocking your view of the islands with your partner, huh?
So, that's one of those things that a travel agent can help you with. If you're interested in booking with a travel agent, we can help you there. But if you are booking by yourself, just keep in mind that there might be an instance where you'll have an obstruction.
Up on the top of the ship, I think that was the Lido deck. Lido just means the pool deck. The very back, we had the solarium, which was this adults-only area, which was included, and there was a buffet back there and really nice lounge chairs. Was there a pool? It looked like a small pool.
Yeah, they had 2 or 3 pools, like small.
Sounds
like
right.
you said, for maybe like 8 people.
Just a very chill vibe back there.
Yeah, a mix of like hot tubs and stuff too. Definitely had a much more tranquil environment to it. Very relaxing. And then like we said, I mean, when it comes to the Aqua Theater, reserve it in advance if you can, but ideally you're going to want to see it as early as possible. And the reason being is if you have bad weather out on sea, Aqua Theater is going to be one of the first things to get canceled. So if you're going to do it the first thing that you can, you're going to have a better chance of actually seeing the show if there is bad weather.
Do it up front.
Mm-hmm.
Last tip, pack nice clothes and pack a lot. And I feel a little embarrassed here because back in like 2013, I went on a cruise with a buddy.
Yeah.
And I told him to pack nice clothes. He packed one dress shirt. He packed one pair of slacks. And then every single night of the cruise, we went to dinner. And he was like, Brian, are you kidding me? I'm wearing the same nice outfit every night. All the people on this cruise think I only own one outfit. Like, I wish you would have told me. And so I learned my lesson. And then you and I go on this cruise. I'm like, oh, yeah. I said, Will, pack some nice clothes. And you did. You packed a really nice suit. And that was, right? Was that like the
my
only
one
nice thing?
suit. Yeah.
Right. And you looked great. You looked very sharp. It's just that I should have told you. I didn't learn my lesson, I guess. I should have told you, no, pack multiple nice shirts, multiple nice pants, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it worked out. I think we got several compliments, so that felt nice. It worked okay. And when we say nice clothes, we are talking suits.
Yeah.
We are talking cocktail dresses.
Sure.
You're going to want to be dressed to the nines.
So exactly, in most cruises, it's a good travel agent's going to tell you this. There's going to be a formal night or sometimes 2. On a 7-night cruise, the formal nights are almost always night 2 and night 6. Almost always. Very rarely has it changed. On a shorter cruise, you'll probably only have one formal night. And a formal night means, just like Will said, bring that suit, bring that nice dress up to the nines. If you don't, you're going to be being stared at. The other nights that aren't the formal nights, you could get away with just like a collared shirt. Khakis,
absolutely.
Nice pair of loafers, nothing, probably even a golf shirt, really, but no t-shirts, no tank tops, no flip-flops.
Exactly. I think that wraps up the tips. Do you have anything else?
No?
Okay, well, let's go into standby items.
It's safety and other info with standby items. Here we go.
So one of the big things that we get asked all the time as travel agents is, what's it like on board? Can you expect seasickness? And Honestly, yeah, you can. I was really surprised. I mean, normally with these really big ships, they do a really good job of, I guess, balancing it. I don't know exactly what they do, but they do have some sort of technology to limit the amount of seasickness that's going to be going on board. But there was one day in particular, you and I were both feeling it.
Yeah.
Now, we say that, but we were going at the tail end of a hurricane.
Right.
So it wasn't the nicest time. So that could have had something to do with it. But we did experience seasickness. And if you're worried about that, they do have medicine on board. You can go up to like the front desk, ask them like, hey, I'm not feeling very well. Do you have anything I can get? And it's usually fairly cheap. It's not crazy, but you're going to have to pay for it. But if you're worried about it, I would recommend bringing it in advance, anything that can help you with seasickness.
Yeah, I think there's been a few medical advances with that. They have the patch behind the ear. They have a bracelet you wear on your wrist. I think you and I just got some drugs.
Yeah. I forget what we got, but it worked. It really worked.
Yeah,
we were real sleepy, but it worked.
Yeah. Really pricing.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about pricing, but I there's just so many red flags before we talk about pricing because travel is like the stock market. The prices are changing every day. It's extremely dynamic based on the time of year and the season for that part of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you could have someone who does a cruise and gets a great deal in February, and then you can have someone else who goes that week of Christmas and New Year's and pays 3 times what the other person paid, right? So you can't just say a cruise costs this price. You can't. And also, like with a cruise, there's all these different types of rooms. There's the interior room, which is not for the claustrophobic. That's the one on the inside where you have like 4 walls and a door, right?
Yeah,
no
windows,
natural light, nothing. No. Then you have what's called the ocean view room, where you have like a picture window that allows in natural light and you can see out, but it doesn't open.
For Oasis of the Seas, though, you do get the Central Park view rooms, which is an ocean side, but you get to see inside to Central Park.
Yeah, it's a very unique room for this particular class of ship. Mm-hmm. Because just for the balcony rooms, really try to get a balcony room because you have your own floor-to-ceiling sliding glass door. You step out onto your private balcony where you can smell the salt water. You feel the wind blowing through your hair. I mean, that's truly the way to experience a cruise, right?
Exactly.
And also, it's nice for privacy. So if maybe one person in the room wants to take a nap while the other person wants to read or drink coffee or talk on the phone or something, they can step out onto the balcony and have that privacy, right?
Exactly.
But you're right, Will. This is like the first of its kind. Imagine a balcony that looks at the interior of the ship. It's so unique, and it might be for you. It might not be. That's between you and your travel agent. But in general, looking at the Oasis of the Seas, I see a trend of, looking at that ocean view balcony room, which is the room we had with no obstruction. It's around $3,000 for 2 people. And that includes the cruise fare, your taxes, and your port fees. On top of that, generally speaking, you have to fly within the United States to your cruise. So let's add a couple $100 a person for flights round trip, just assuming it's going to be around that price. Of course, that'll fluctuate based on where you're going. We recommend the pre-night hotel. So you're going to want to throw in a couple $100 for a hotel night before the cruise. Then you have transfers. You got to get from the airport to the hotel to the ship to the airport. And let's say you take an Uber or a taxi. That's going to be between, $20, $30, $40 per transfer. And then Wi-Fi. Wow, that's truly a market of revenue on these ships because everyone seems to want it, and boy, are they charging, right?
They are, yeah.
We're talking a couple $100 for Wi-Fi for a couple devices. That's insane. And then gratuities. I know we mentioned this earlier, but every cruise ship is going to ding you at the end of the cruise with gratuities. But usually it's between $14 and $15 per person per day. So add a couple $100 for gratuities. And then we have alcohol. This really depends how much you drink. We talked about those 6 basic drinks that were included, but it seems like the average client's going to spend a couple $100 a piece in alcohol. There's tips included in there. And then you and I did Thrill Water Park. That's usually pricing at around $100 a piece. And of course, you might have other excursions too, right? If you're doing other stops.
Exactly.
And then vacation insurance in case something happens to you and you have to cancel the cruise. You want to protect this investment. So that's usually somewhere between 6 and 11% of the cost of the entire trip based on your age and where you're from and how much you're spending and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, when you add all this up, right, like you might see the price of the cruise on the website and go, that's a great price, right? But you really need your travel agent to help you understand what's this actually going to cost me when all is said and done. And for you and I, this whole package really came out to around somewhere between $5,000 and $5,200 total for 2 people.
Exactly.
And that's really pretty common, where for a week-long trip, you're paying somewhere between, $2,500 per person. So if that's what your cruise cost, that's really, you're not being gouged. That's a good bargain.
Yeah.
For what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of wraps up everything that we had to say about Oasis of the Seas. It was a good experience. I actually left there thinking, I would do this again, and I'm more excited to do some other cruises. Granted, I don't know about the cost. The cost is pretty hefty, but if you're into cruising, if you're interested in experiencing cruising, Oasis of the Seas is a great one to start off on. It is almost a cult, the cruise cult. You will meet people that have been on 100 cruises.
It's insane.
It's really interesting. It's crazy. But I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend doing it.
Will, for your first cruise, you were in a balcony room. They say once you go balcony, you can't go back. So.
I don't think I could ever do a 4-wall, no windows.
Interior room.
I couldn't do it. But
I go balcony.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to our show. We hope you enjoyed it.
Fun episode. I liked it. Yeah, cruising. Let's go. It's back.
All right, guys. That's all for today.
We're the travel agents. That's the end of our show. Make sure to comment and subscribe before you go.